Keys to Success number 91. We're going to be talking about stress. I'm Dr. Martin Rutherford, certified functional medicine practitioner, chiropractor.
Dr. Randall Gates, board certified chiropractic neurologist, also a chiropractor.
So we've been dealing with, what we've been doing with, we're not dealing. So what we've been doing is going back through our list of keys to success. And the rationale behind it is we're up to 91 keys to success. A lot of patients are starting the program new. A lot of them may not go back to the earlier ones that seem to be the core keys to success for our patients. And we're getting a better idea of that now, having had feedback on these keys. Also with the private Facebook group that we have. So you're starting to see a pattern. So we're bringing out some of the more, some of the ones that seem to be more important to really be attentive to. And so we're going to talk about stress today. When we started out in this, we started out with fibromyalgia, peripheral neuropathy, chronic fatigue, which was kind of hard back then. We started out with dizziness, vertigo, and balance. And I think we realized our patients were stressed. Actually, the functional neurologist, I think, already had realized that people had this chronic fight-flight syndrome going on. And we in the alternative functional medicine field kind of thought they were stressed, had an overfiring HPA axis, the stress mechanism, fight-flight mechanism. And so at some point, as we struggled with how to put this program together, do we do just a functional medicine on one person, just the brain work we have on there? We realized that the vast majority of patients who were coming in here had stress components that were more than stress, more than, oh, you're just stressed. There were stress components where you were in some sort of chronic fight, flight, and that was kind of flooding your system with stress hormones every day, intermittently, some days more than others, some times of the day more than others, difficulty sleeping, wake up, difficulty going back to sleep. And we started to realize we had to do both the functional medicine and the functional neurology together because those stress hormones were damaging what we were trying to do in functional medicine with the gut and with the adrenals and with the brain and the adaptocrines and the whole thing, and the gut and the stomach and the whole thing. So that's how our program came to be. So we're gonna, there's a lot of stress out there today. There's a lot of stress in society. I think the past election seems to have put things over the top. There's an article in today's Wall Street Journal that social discourse no longer exists. In other words, people, if they have a hard time even talking to each other anymore about certain things, and this is stress. So Dr. Gates wants to kind of check off the list of stress here today relative to maybe types of stress that you're going to encounter. I don't know how much he's going to get into the management of it, but that's the key to success today.
Yeah, really what I've found is that as patients are going through the program and we have the baseline level of stress that Dr. Rutherford is talking about, which lots of times disrupts physiology so greatly that it causes you to end up in our facility. But then there are the daily stressors, the weekly stressors, which can really disturb someone's progress or cause them to maybe start to go off of their plateau that they reached, that they were doing really well, and start to regress. And these stressors, while they're real and while they are significant, and we're not basically saying that they're not valid, they have the tendency to really disrupt physiology, and they have a tendency to cause you to backslide. So in an attempt to prevent that from happening, for example, if a loved one has died, if you're going through major financial stress, if you have tremendous anxiety about your health, and even though you're starting to get better, you're still anxious because, you know, every time you get better, you get worse. You probably need to go back and look at our key to success on the stress relaxation exercises, and you need to do those until you feel your stress response start to calm down. And then as it's calmed down, and let's say you go 10 minutes or you go an hour, and then the stress starts building back up, you need to go back and do that stress relaxation exercise again, as long as you have the time to do so with your work and daily schedule. Because doing that is really more important than me giving you more supplements or taking more serotonin or more ashwagandha. I'd rather you do the stress relaxation exercises, because I have found them to be even more beneficial lots of times in these cases of severe life stress, because they help to kind of reset your brain out of that stressful state that's causing cortisol to flow in your body, cortisol to go into your brain, further damage your frontal lobes, and then that keeps this whole stress response going. And it's such a sad, vicious cycle that I see a lot of patients fall into. And the more we can hammer the point that you need to stop what you're doing and do those stress relaxation exercises, the better your chance of coming out of this. And again, I'm not making light of the stress that you're under. Everybody's stress is completely different. Again, I'm not making light of it. But the fact of the matter is, we got to keep your stress levels to minimum. And I found this to be the best way to do that.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard to describe how important your exercises are, because the basic exercises put your brain kind of in a better condition to respond to those stress responses. Would that be correct? At least I found that to be the case. And so, I was just making the point before we did this hangout relative to another potential, or this keys to success, relative to another potential keys to success, that these exercises, and I do them like they help me so much. I always tell people I do them 3-4 minutes 3 times a day. I'm doing them like 5 times a day. I have my little saccade sheet in my office, and a lot of you know my background. That some of you may not know how many concussions I had, and I had a lot. And so, I have a lot of attention on brain function. And these exercises, when I do them consistently, might take like a couple of minutes, like I say, like 3 minutes. So when I do them consistently, it seems like I do breathing relaxation exercises. It seems like they're so much more effective when being consistent with my exercises, and I've even ramped them up a lot. So, and I was making the point to Dr. Gates that, he's made such an effort to be able to evaluate your brain function and then determine the specific regions, not only the specific lobes of your brain or regions of your brain that need to be either stimulated or calmed down, but also specificity even within the cerebellum, to like the midline cerebellum or the anterior cerebellum. And because of that, he can make very precise, very simple, very directed exercises that are effective if you do them. If you do those, it'll make the relaxation techniques that Dr. Gates has for you much more effective, in my experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is our key to success on stress. We hope you found it beneficial. Send us your ideas, other things you want us to talk about, and we will go from there. Okay. Talk to you soon. We'll see you next week.
Okay.